Hi guys, you're about to see a great video on samurai armor, but it's actually by Samurai Traditions of the Tadagenji channel. Now I'm going to link him below, so go to the top pin post and link him. But beyond that, I thought this was an excellent video from Steven Nojiri, and we're putting it in our list of monthly videos. So without further ado, here we go, and don't forget to click the link and follow him.
So in this picture, the red arrow is pointing to the face guard, to the menpo, and the blue arrow is pointing to the nodawa, the neck guard. And again, I'm going to say face guard and neck guard so that it's easy for you to keep track of, but we'll get in more detail about what they actually do. It's not it's The menpo with the plates attached to it is truly the neck guard. The nodawa is more of an upper chest protector, but it'll all make sense through the course of the video. So on this picture, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some basic examples, and so we're going to start with a full face mask. In this picture, as you can tell, the entire face is covered, and then the red arrow is pointing to that throat protection portion of the mask. In this picture, what you're seeing is a face covering that covers the forehead and the temple area. Now, this particular type of face mask is not focused on in the Tadagenji tradition because there is no accompanying throat protection, there's no jaw protection, etc., etc. But I'm providing a picture so that you know that you can see what it looks like. So now in this picture, this is the normal face mask, the normal menpo, even though the kanji in this particular picture says it's a half mask. And the reason for that is the terminology is not universal. Some systems conceive and define of the mask a little differently. So this picture is not from a Tadagenji text. So this picture this is considered a half mask, but in the Tadagenji tradition, this is just a normal menpo. But you can see that in this picture, it doesn't have any of the yodarekake attached to it, the armor plates protecting the neck. So if you don't have those armor plates, then you better have the nodawa, or the next level of sort of upper chest protection. Now here's an example of a piece of armor. In this particular document, this is referred to as the saru, or the monkey style. So monkey is also kind of a slang term for country folk, like kind of like saying hillbilly or redneck or country folk or country bumpkin. It also is a reference to somebody being simple-minded. It's kind of an insult. So it's considered, this particular piece is kind of like the one that only covers the top of your head. This one, it covers your jawline, but it does have some idea initially of this being a lesser piece, even though you will see later in the video there are some very well-known warlords or high-ranking generals who wore this exact style. And here we have a very typical picture. So the nose is covered, the cheeks are covered, the jawline is covered, and we have the yodarekake, the plates that connect it from the bottom, and then they descend down over the neck. So this is the typical menpo. When somebody usually says menpo, this is what they're referring to. Half of the face with the neck protection. And in the Tadagenji tradition, this is what is assumed to be the standard. And this picture actually is another picture of the saru, or the monkey face guard, chin line only. This one does not have the yodarekake, so if you didn't have that, then you would at least need the nodawa, or the second neck guard piece. But now in this picture, I want you to see at the very bottom of the picture, under the chin area, you see sort of an angular protrusion. That is where you could attach the yodarekake. So again, the average menpo, the average face guard, would have the neck protection. Not always, but it usually would have it, and it would attach at that area. So now in this picture, it does have yodarekage. It has the plates coming from the bottom of the mask down, but I want you to look over at the nose area. This has a nose piece that opens and closes. So on some menpos, the nose piece hinges open and closed. On some menpos, the nose piece comes off entirely. So that's something to be aware of. Sometimes it is one solid piece. Sometimes it's actually two pieces that can come apart. So on here now, on the right side in the crimson, this is a saru, a monkey, menpo, a monkey face guard, which means the chin line only, and it has a yodarekake attached to it. And then on the left side of the screen, that is not the menpo, that is actually the nodawa, the neck guard, which actually should be called the higher upper chest guard, clavicle guard, so to speak. But anyway, so these are technically two different things. One specifically covers the mandible and the throat, that would be the menpo, the face guard. And then the nodawa, the neck guard as it's often called, it's actually more, that area covers the clavicle area. And even though they're two separate pieces of equipment, in the Tada Genji tradition, they are considered the same. They're in the same teaching. They're considered the same piece of equipment, which I know might be kind of confusing since it's obviously two different pieces, but they are considered the same piece of equipment. Now, very briefly, I just want to give you a random example of a combination. So here we have Hosakawa Taraoki's Kabuto. If you've been watching these videos, you will know that this is not a Genji helmet style. I have a typo in helmet, but this is not a Genji Kabuto. It lacks the stars, which are the studs. It lacks the Kutagawa, etc., etc., etc. So this helmet type is not a Genji type. But I've introduced it because I've shown you so many Genji types. So now I'm showing you kind of a random Samurai General's helmet. So this is where we're starting. So look at the helmet. And now this is the face guard that goes with it. So you can see that it covers the chin and the cheek, it has its yodarekake, right? So this type of helmet pairs with this type of face guard very well. Is very, very common for this type of chin and cheek face guard to go with that style of helmet. And so what you will often see is that the style of the face guard oftentimes follows patterns or trends based on the helmet style. So now we're putting both images together to try to give you some kind of idea. So the Kabuto was one of the major war tools or major war equipments, and the menpo is a minor war tool or one of the minor war equipments. And I want you to try to imagine how these will look together. Some of you who've looked at a lot of samurai movies and video games and documentaries and books have undoubtedly seen this particular combination of helmet and face guard. It was a very popular combination during the late Sengoku, early Edo period. So now I'm going to subject you to some of my own drawings. So I pinned this drawing. This is why it's not that good. So you'll see what I want you to understand though is the red arrow is pointing. If you remember from a previous picture, there was a protrusion under the chin line, and that protrusion is where the yodarekake plates attach to. So just like all other samurai armor, it's laced, and so right from under the chin there's kind of a flat rectangular extension out from the chin, and then from there that's where the ties take place, the lacing begins. And the first armor plate is connected to the face guard, and then the width of each successive plate as it descends increases. And then the green arrow is pointing to where the hole is. Now that hole, now for the purpose of this picture, I've drawn the hole there, but don't think it's not at the front of the chin. It's underneath the chin. So in this picture, the perspective's been tilted a little bit to try to give you this understanding. The hole where the blood, spit, sweat comes out of is underneath the chin. And I'll subject you to another one of my pictures, the nodawa, which again is called the neck guard, but it's really more like a gorget actually. It's a solid half circle collar that you tie around your neck, and then it has a large armored piece, like one big armored piece that hangs from that collar, and then from that collar comes successive plate, another plate that gets smaller as it descends. So whereas on the yodarekake, it starts with small, the piece that connects to the face guard is smaller, and then as it descends down it gets larger. On the nodawa, it starts large and gets smaller as it goes. So it's basically, again, if you're familiar with what a gorget is, it's basically the samurai version of a gorget. And this is again the part that I want to emphasize. The yodarekake is to protect your actual throat. The nodawa actually protects more of where your throat connects to the chest, that lower throat area, the very top portion of your chest. So depending on the style of armor, the nodawa is actually more for protecting that upper portion of the chest. So it's basically, if you can visualize the samurai's chest armor, and then you can, the upper portion of the chest where the jugular notch is, the clavicle, that area is kind of exposed. And so this would be actually where the nodawa would cover. So the yodarekake that's attached to the face guard protects your actual throat, and then the nodawa protects the lower portion of your throat and your jugular notch area. Ideally you would use both, but remember, if you only use the nodawa, if your menpo doesn't, if you have no menpo or it doesn't have the yodarekake, then your actual throat areas would still be exposed. And again, the reason that I make that distinction is because while it is two separate objects within the Tadagenji teaching, they are considered the same teaching, the same tool, the same piece of equipment. So in the Tadagenji tradition, your face guard needs to have the yodarekake to protect. So you have your face guard with the yodarekake. This protects your nose, your teeth, your mandible, jaw area, your larynx, your trachea, essentially the lower portion of your face and your neck. Right? And so most face guards have the yodarekake plates, but not all of them. They don't. Just because it's a menpo doesn't mean it guarantees that it's going to have the yodarekake. It should, most do, but it's not intrinsic to the menpo to have the yodarekake. Then to protect your jugular notch and clavicle area, the highest portion of your chest, right, where your neck attaches to your chest, right, that part, the jugular notch area, that's where you would want the nodawa. So the entire protection is considered the menpo with the yodarekake, and then the nodawa is, even though it's two separate pieces of equipment, it's considered one piece of equipment in the Tadagenji tradition. And again, it falls under the 6 minor tools, or the 6 minor pieces of equipment.